You're listening to The Briefing, first broadcast on the 4th of September 2025 on Monocle Radio. The Briefing in association with Addis. Hello and a very warm welcome to The Briefing, broadcasting live from Studio 1 here at Midori House in London. I'm Chris Chermak. Coming up on today's program.
I had actually a very good meeting with President Putin a couple of weeks ago. We'll see if anything comes out of it. If it doesn't, we'll take a different stance.
Will anything come out of it? Donald Trump's next deadline for Putin on Ukraine is tomorrow. Ahead of that, we have a coalition of the willing meeting in Paris. Will the Europeans offer Kyiv the guarantees it needs, just in case Trump doesn't back his rhetoric? After that, we head to Barcelona for the initial stirrings of Monocle's Quality of Life conference and a look through the pages of the latest issue of Konfekt with Sophie Grove. And then it is Thursday, time for the Global Countdown. Fernando Augusto Pacheco, you're sticking with our Barcelona theme today.
Buona tarde, Chris. Today we will look at the best of Catalan pop.
And that was a Catalan Bona Tarde, just for anyone who wasn't sure. All that right here on The Briefing with me, Chris Chermak. We'll start today's show in Paris, which is the site of yet another summit of European leaders to figure out what to do about the war in Ukraine. French President Emmanuel Macron has already spoken, said it's time to finalize just how ironclad the West can make its security guarantees to keep Vladimir Putin out of Ukraine in the future. Well, I'm joined now, conveniently from the French capital, by Monocle's Paris bureau chief Simon Bouvier. Bonjour, Simon.
Bonjour, Chris. How are you today?
Very good, and there's a lot happening for you over there in the French capital, so we're going to get to some of it. We're going to start with this summit that is happening, ongoing as we speak, and the buzzword, Simon, I think for the last few weeks has been NATO-style guarantees, whatever that means. Emmanuel Macron is speaking, he's talked about that. I mean, are these leaders going to finally clarify what that means?
I mean, I think Volodymyr Zelensky, for one, will be hoping that that's the case. But we shouldn't forget, Chris, that the number one objective of this meeting is to get specific about what security guarantees provided by these European countries that are member of what they're calling the coalition of the willing might look like. Is it boots on the ground and where and so on and so forth? But the main goal is to show President Donald Trump of the United States, look, we are going to be bearing the brunt of this effort, but we do need you, now that you see that we're serious about this, to participate in it. And the key thing to understand is that this coalition of the willing does not currently include the United States. So that's what they're trying to move the needle on.
And they need to show unity in order to do that. Do you get the sense from the initial stirrings and what we're hearing there of this summit that there is that unity between Emmanuel Macron, Keir Starmer, Friedrich Merz of Germany there as well? Do they all see eye to eye on this?
As usual with Europe, Chris, it's a bit difficult to get a complete consensus on what exactly to do. For instance, the boots on the ground thing is the most sensitive topic. Will there be military delegations from these European countries? Where do you put the soldiers? How far? Spoiler, quite far away from the front lines do you put them? The Germans, for example, are not at all convinced that that is a good idea until and unless the United States are on board. But the UK and France seem to be in lockstep on that, at least.
I mean, that sounds a little like a game of chicken from the Germans. Is that it? Like, or who goes first? Like, if the US is part of it, then they would join. If the US is not part of it, then they won't join. But then the US doesn't want to be a part of it.
Right. And I think the key change in dynamic here is also that, before we were talking about NATO being a framework of like-minded countries with the same kind of worldview. Now it's very different. They have to convince a completely transactional administration that there's money in it for them, that they stand to benefit from supporting this coalition of the willing. And, to be fair to the Germans, you can't make a U-turn with the aircraft carrier on a dime. They need time to adjust to this new reality. They've already changed their constitution so that they could spend massive amounts of money on renewing their essentially, obsolete defense system. And now they're expected to commit to sending boots on the ground. I think that it is a bit too much to ask. So at least they're there.
At least they're there. They're talking, and all of these talks do come ahead of Donald Trump's 2-week deadline for Russia to talk peace. Is that a subject over there in Paris? Are the Europeans acknowledging this deadline, and do they expect anything to happen?
Absolutely not. I think they understand that President Trump's negotiation tactics, as we saw in that Anchorage summit, where he hosted Vladimir Putin and proceeded to, in a press conference, essentially say that the United States was completely aligned with Russia's objectives for the end game of this war, which led, as you know, to this kind of scramble of European leaders backing up the kind of repeat of the Zelensky White House meeting to try and convince President Trump that it's not a good idea to take Russia's stance. So I don't think they're paying attention to that at all, because they're also seeing that Russia is continuing to bomb civilian infrastructure in Ukraine, and they are not acting in any way like a belligerent who is eager for this to end.
But does that, just finally on this, Simon, does that mean then that the Europeans have to go it alone? Is there not talk of that, or is that essentially the difference between, say, France, UK and Germany? France and the UK might say, we can't rely on Donald Trump. We have to provide the security guarantees. We have to do everything in our power, regardless of what the US does, to try and turn this around.
You know what, Chris? I think that is the only thing that there is consensus on. I think what there is no consensus on is what everything in our power means. And so that's the name of the game. And until they can decide what that looks like, and until they can get organized to provide that, which will take years, they need the United States. And so they have to make sure that President Trump is on board.
Now, Simon, before we let you go, you are going to go to a different kind of meeting or summit, something else that's taking place in Paris. It is Design Week kicking off today. What are you going to be heading to?
That's right, Chris. And for the first time, the Monocle Cafe and Shop here is going to be part of the official Design Week circuit. So if you're in town for Design Week, please stop and visit us.
So you don't need to go anywhere. You can just hang out at the cafe.
That is essentially the only stop that you will need. But there is also, of course, the Maison et Objet design fair that is happening in Villepinte, right outside of Paris. It's one of Europe's biggest design fairs. And, thanks to the Paris Design Week, which is celebrating its 15th birthday this week, Paris has kind of been growing as a kind of staple in the design calendar, and it's not going to challenge Milan Salone anytime soon, but it is growing, and it's really focused on this really growing concept of collectible design. France isn't a big industrial nation when it comes to design, but it is a very strong creative nation. So all of these designers and artists who are creating these, and craftspeople who are creating these one-off pieces that are very interesting to collectors, this is the place to be to shop for that kind of stuff.
Collectible design. That is the topic of Paris Design Week, and everyone do stop by Monocle's Cafe in Paris to join in the festivities. Simon Bouvier, Monocle's Paris Bureau Chief, thank you very much for joining us. Now here on The Briefing, it's time for Tom Webb with the day's other news headlines.
Thanks, Chris. The death toll from Wednesday's Lisbon funicular train crash has risen to 17 people. More than 20 others were hurt when the Gloria cable car jumped the tracks in a busy tourist area. Portugal has declared a national day of mourning as investigations continue. Vietnam has set up a new defence fund to collect donations from citizens and businesses. The Defence Ministry will manage the money, which can be spent on the military, disaster relief and rescue work. Officials say the fund is separate from the state budget. And Monocle's Quality of Life Conference is underway in Barcelona. The flagship event brings together global thinkers and creators for in-person discussions on the issues that matter most. Those are the day's headlines. Back to you, Chris.
Thanks very much. Tom, you took the words right out of my mouth because we are now turning to Barcelona, where setup is well underway for that Quality of Life conference. And I'm joined now from Barcelona by Sophie Grove, editor of Konfekt, which conveniently also happens to have a brand new edition out on the newsstands. Sophie, good afternoon to Barcelona.
Good afternoon. Hello. I'm here we're actually in the middle of rehearsals for tomorrow's conference at the amazing Palais de Musica, which is such a stunning building.
It is nice to have you there, taking a step away from the rehearsals. We do hope that won't interrupt any of the proceedings tomorrow. You'll have to take a natural step out tomorrow as well as if you were joining the radio. What's the mood like over there?
Oh, well, it's just fantastic. The city is just, it really feels just incredibly light, incredibly sumptuous. The architecture is so inspiring. Just walk past the Academy of Art and there's sort of carvings and incredible sort of detail everywhere you go. So I'm already in the mood. The Barcelona spirit is very contagious.
It is very contagious, and I imagine you'll be getting some ideas while you're there for Konfekt magazine as well, which is something we want to talk about, Sophie, because you do have a brand new issue out, and you've got it's a fall issue, and you've got autumnal ideas.
Well, exactly. It's very much kind of back to school, that sense of the new pencil case, new ideas, proper shoes, beautiful trench coats, knits. That sense of autumnal style is very much anchoring the issue. But it's also a return to collecting, to flea markets, to that sense of interior life. And so some of our collecting special, in fact, it's interesting to hear Simone just now talking about that, but we've really dedicated some pages to the idea of collecting, to the thrill of buying things at auction. There are essays about that. There's a round table on art and collecting, the idea of being an antiquarian and sort of communing with the things that you own, collecting in a sense that's very meaningful, and this idea of the search, the kind of quest, and that purposeful sense of discovery that comes with being a collector is very much the kind of red thread that sort of you'll see in the issue, because every single residence, every single profile really is a kind of wonderful ode to the art of collecting.
Sophie, did this put you in the mood to collect? Do you have any collections you've established yourself, or do you have ideas now? You're going to be going to the next auction to buy up some art or something else?
I love auctions, and I like physical auctions with paddles, and I've bought things that I've maybe deeply regretted in that style just because of the thrill and kind of wonderful theatre of it all. But I do collect. I collect glass. I collect sort of blue, mainly Scandinavian glass. I collect ceramics, and I'm a real hoarder of textiles. I think it might have been from my days living in Istanbul in the Middle East, because I have so many carpets, and I really have practically had to sort of wean myself off AA style on the carpet front. But I think it's really cold turkey occasionally for collectors. But I think we have some amazing people in the issue. There's Mira Nakashima in upstate New York, who's this amazing architect and scion of George Nakashima, and talking about all of her beautiful, beautiful things. And it's that idea that, it's not a quick fix, it's a lifelong commitment to collecting.
It is, and you shouldn't regret any of that, Sophie, that you were describing. Sounds like you have an amazing collection of stuff. But I also understand, before we let you go on the Konfekt front, you've got a collection special. You've also got a spa guide.
We have. For me, autumn is also about that kind of sense of rejuvenation, recalibrating, getting ready for winter, feeling resilient in body and mind. So we put the spa guide in this issue, and it's a very wonderful, watery, thermal themed guide, really. And there's some beautiful pieces also in the main travel section, one of which is about the Chilean Lake District and these incredible architect led design projects that are coming up there, which are kind of incredible thermal springs. And, the idea that you just hop from one to another, dipping in these sort of ancient, beautiful waters that have had, so much history. And, you're gazing out on these sublime landscapes and volcanoes. I think it's a really wonderful way to travel.
Sophie, I think if all of that doesn't make people want to pick up a copy of Konfekt, I don't know what will. But just finally, before we let you go back to the rehearsals, what are you expecting from tomorrow in Barcelona and the Quality of Life Conference?
Well, there's an amazing spread of architecture and design, which I think is really exciting. And, there's Bofil, Tala, which is an incredible practice that I was just listening to Nick Muniz, the designer of Monocle, talking about. My panel, what I'm really looking forward to is about longevity, but really a sense of, how we can live a long and healthy life in the city, walking, eating, and that sense of that Barcelona spirit again is there. It should be about joy. It isn't necessarily all about kind of exercise as this punishing thing. It's about that joie de vivre that you can build into a healthy sort of Mediterranean life. And I think that will be my panel, which I'm doing with Robert Bound. So it's going to be fun and pacey and hopefully very inspiring.
Sophie Grove, Monocle's Konfekt editor. Do enjoy the panels tomorrow. Longevity sounds fascinating. Hope you get a bunch of ideas around that too. More from Quality of Life on the Monocle Daily, which will be coming live from Barcelona later on today. You're listening to The Briefing on Monocle Radio. Well, we're already dancing to the theme tune for the Global Countdown. Fernando Augusto Pacheco, you are here. You love that theme tune.
I love it. It's very Miami Vice, but maybe Barcelona Vice today.
Barcelona, Miami Vice. Wow. I never thought we'd go there with a theme tune for the Global Countdown. It is a Quality of Life themed show today, isn't it? What have you done for us? You've done some digging into Barcelona Catalonian culture.
It's another one of my specials because I decided to celebrate Catalan pop, and I realized a lot of those artists we already play here on Monocle Radio. But I have to say, it's been a moment of discovery for me as well. We have here in the office Marta. She's from Barcelona, and she actually gave me some advice as well.
You had an inside guide here to Catalan culture.
So here are 5 names from the world of Catalan pop music. They might be quite different from each other, but that doesn't matter. Here is just kind of so you have a feel for it and how important the region is. And of course, Barcelona has been the most important city of the region.
Were you surprised by the names and the fact that they came from Catalonia, or was there like a difference for you in terms of the style of music compared to the rest of Spain?
Half. I knew some of them were from Catalonia, but others were a bit of a surprise, including actually number 5, which I think is a very young singer. I think she's doing very well in the charts now. We're going to start on a very up-tempo beat here. This is Bad Gyal with Dame.
Pero tú rompiste, quitaste el seguro a la puerta. El baby que tengo en el sexo es especialista. Me lo entra, lo siento. A ese tamaño estoy lista. Dame al ritmo de la pista.
We're starting in a very sexy note. Just ended her Bikini Badness tour all across Spain. And, I was reading the description of the video clip of that song. I think, do not laugh, Chris. But it is.
Not to, but you're going to read something that will make me now, aren't you?
But it's so true. It is a minimalist house becoming the organism of sexual desire. And I think when you look at the video of that song, you understand that concept. I thought it was very creative.
I don't know where to go with that. I'm going to have to just look at the video, I suppose, to imagine how a minimalist house becomes, what was it? An organism of sexual
desire.
Design.
Very much
yes,
so.
Absolutely. Yes, I'm sure that is absolutely clear in the video.
It is time for a gear change. And I love a good gear change. I don't like when everything sounds the same.
No, we like a change here.
We love a change.
So we're going a little softer now.
Softer and perhaps a bit more classic. I think this is the oldest and entry from the top 5. And you know what? I've been reading more about him. Of course, all Catalans know him. He's very known for his protest music against Franco's Spain. So this song, in fact, is from 1971. It will sound very breezy, but it is a protest song as well. João Manuel Serrat, Mediterráneo.
A tus atardeceres rojos se acostumbraron mis ojos como el recodo al camino. Soy cantor, soy embustero, me gusta el juego y el vino, tengo alma de marinero. ¿Qué le voy a hacer si yo...
Breezy protest. I think that does actually capture it pretty well.
It gave me goosebumps, actually. It's so good. And I was reading about João Manuel. So he collaborated even with other musicians on our own countries. They were under dictatorship at the time, including my own country, Brazil. He spoke to musician Chico Buarque. What a fantastic guy. It's a legend, not only for Catalan pop, but for Spanish music in general.
And clearly beyond that as well.
Absolutely.
Where are we going for number 3? Have we moved on beyond the protests of the 70s?
It's no protest. It's just, it's original, it's cool, and we play the song here on Monocle Radio. It is Rigoberta Bandini with Caimán and number 3.
Como un caimán en Everglades, me aburro si no empiezo otra vez, como un cartel del Corte Inglés. Me gusta que te acerques a verme, dime si estoy guapa y si lo hago bien.
A little mention to Corte Inglés, of course, the department store. And Rigoberta Bandini, that's not her real name. That's the musical project of a Spanish singer, Paula Ribó. But I love her music. This song is from her latest album, Jesus Christa Superstar, with 22 tracks.
That is a large album. Fernando, you always, if memory serves, mention that Rigoberta Bandini would be that person who should have submitted her songs to Eurovision for a Spanish entry. Is that right?
And I think she would do well because, as you know, Chris, Spain doesn't do that well on Eurovision. And I think they should select Rigoberta Bandini. She did try, though. I think she was the runner-up at the Benidorm Music Festival where they select the entry. So she was almost there.
She was so close. They always try pretty hard. We were talking about this before, but somehow they don't succeed, although their songs are always pretty catchy. They're very good Eurovision fare.
It is very good, and could be Rigoberta or could be our number 2 as well, which is another favorite of mine. This is more...
Who was also part of Eurovision, I believe?
Yeah, I don't think she managed to...
No, maybe I'm wrong about that. Anyway,
but it's...
Moving swiftly on.
Moving swiftly on, it is Aitana, again, a great musician, and this song is actually about a failed relationship, but I think even failed relationships, they sound very good under lovely, lushy synths. Let's have a listen to Aitana's 6 de Febrero.
Porque todavía te quiero, yo te quiero, maldito me olvidaste de primero, tú que me prometiste mundo entero, ahora devuélveme mis 6 de febrero, porque vivo bailando para no llorar más.
These are all very different styles, I'll give you that. Sort of, this is the sort of happy, sweet ballad sort of song.
Happy, but about a failed relationship. Do not forget that, Chris. And this song apparently could be about her breakup with another very famous singer, Sebastián Yatra. Not confirmed, but come on, we can speculate here a little bit.
I mean, if they're writing a breakup song, then yeah, it's fair enough.
But we are going to end this countdown with a very hot note, because this song for me screams Spanish summer, and she is the biggest name in Catalan music. Well, she's probably the most famous Catalan out there today. It's the wonderful Rosalía, which is an international global name, and this song is one of my favorites. It's called Despecha.
Mambo violento, fin del problema, que fácil te lo voy a decir. ABC, 1, 2, 3. Mira que fácil te lo voy a decir. Que estamos tu mami de no está para ti. Mira que fácil te lo voy a decir. ABC, 1, 2, 3. Mira que fácil te lo voy a decir. Que estamos tu mami. Yo ando despechada, a loca. Bajé con un flow nuevo acá, baby, hackear. Lo muevo de
It's sweaty, it's raw, it's good talent. I am a fan. And you know what? For all the fans of Rosalía I was reading before coming here to the studio, she is currently recording new music.
New music coming up from Rosalía. Did you know that she was from Barcelona before doing this?
That I knew. I was surprised about Aitana, gotta be honest, and Bad Gyal, but I think Rosalía, I knew that.
By the way, just to clarify my own Eurovision knowledge, Aitana also tried for Eurovision, but came second in 2018 in the internal Spanish contest.
So
there
actually,
you go.
It's the Spanish they need to pick better. The winners of Benidorm.
They do. They keep trying, and then they just don't quite go for the ones who could do it. Fernando Augusto Pacheco, thank you very much for joining us. That's all the time we have for this edition of The Briefing. It was produced by Laura Kramer. Our researcher was Henry King, and our studio manager was Elliot Greenfield, with assistance from Will Charnot. The Briefing is back tomorrow, live from Barcelona at the same time. The Monocle Daily will also be from Barcelona later on this evening. I'm Chris Chermak. Goodbye, and thanks for listening.